Board of Directors meeting. Introduction.
We have a few.
We have a few.
A few more next month. We broke them into a few groups. So let's start with the distinguished folks sitting over there with Eastland.
You want to tell them a little bit about themselves?
Yep.
Background?
Who you are, where you're from, why you're here and what you do.
Hi, my name is Audra Franken. I'm a nurse practitioner. Cardiology primarily is my background. I came from the Kansas City area. I've been a nurse since 2015 and a nurse since 2004. Also primarily cardiology, but some ICU and other things sprinkled in. And I'm excited to be here.
I'm Sarah Brown. I live in Abilene. I came from the hospital in Abilene where I was the nurse educator and here.
You might add what level in the program are you guys teaching at?
We're teaching the ADN.
Canadian.
Okay.
That's very good.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Dice, and I came from Via Christi Village, where I was the coopy nurse and nurse manager and infection preventionist. And I am a practical nursing instructor and over 20 some years of nursing experience, and I'm glad to be here and teach the students.
You did some adjunct for us, right,
It
Clinton?
was a clinical adjunct last year in the clinical setting.
Miranda Nicholson. I've been a nurse since 2009. I graduated from MATC with my associate's degree back then. So it's come full circle for me and I'm very proud to be here. I got my master's in nursing education in December, and I've been doing clinical adjunct for other schools and working full-time. And I thought I'd really like to go full-time here. So I am so excited.
And Eastland, I'll come back to you in a minute. We have one online, Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny Sullivan. I just moved here from Paris, Texas, where I've been a nursing instructor at a community college, first-year nursing students for the past 7 years. And then my husband wanted to move up here to Kansas for a job. And I said, well, I'm going to wait till I can find another job teaching nursing. And this one came open. So I'm here because I love teaching nursing students. So that's what brought me here.
And Eastland is our new director of nursing. She's having fun with all these folks. What else could you add, Eastland? How's it going in the first week?
Hey, I feel like it's going very well. Students are, they're all jumping in head first, I feel like. No, what else do you know?
Already had the first test?
ADN's getting ready for number 3 tomorrow. And PN is next week for their second one.
So are all the classes full?
They are full. Yeah, they are full.
We are tickled to death to have all of you with us, helping us. Nursing is our premier program. Don't be scared of these folks. They're here to help. Not from the government.
I'm not.
And you're welcome to attend any board meeting you want to. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. You also won't hurt our feelings if you want to
Welcome, all of you. Congratulations, Eastland.
He said there's already, I don't need to bring my own.
All right,
Any revisions to the agenda?
there is one, number 3, item A, election. After that election, we need to have, discussion and consideration of new board applicant from Cheryl Grice. Covered item.
Okay, hopefully everybody's had a chance to review last month's minutes as well as the register and the financial information. And also any organizational update that was in attachment 3.
A lot of new faculty, new staff.
Yes,
We've had to wear name tags more often.
that's not a bad thing. I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yeah, so moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All being signed.
Stephanie's online.
Yep.
At least we'll look up.
Okay. So with that, elect officers. As I advised all of you earlier this year, I would entertain someone else moving in as board chair.
Under our governance policy, we need a chair, vice chair for officers, so. We can do paper ballots if you want, or we can open it up for nominations.
I think if you didn't show up, you're de facto.
Yeah, I think for the first, I think whoever's not here is.
Stephanie on, so she,
Yeah.
I know she's part of it.
Hey, I'll be in the room in like 2 minutes, so you better be careful what you say.
Julie's on.
Julie, appreciate you.
Thank you. And just so you know, we just had a grandbaby this afternoon, so if they FaceTime, I will probably drop off.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But seriously, folks, somebody would step up and take it. I would greatly appreciate it. Things are getting closer to me moving out of the immediate area and things aren't slowing down for me, as you've noticed my absence this summer.
I think you probably ought to do ballots.
Give it a couple minutes. While we're doing that, we can discuss
Sure.
Cheryl's application. I think most of you know Cheryl. She included her resume in her application. She reached out to me late June, right after our board meeting. And very interested in serving her husband Ronnie just retired from K-State. He was public safety director for years. Girls in all parts of the community. That practice has been, we have a smaller group, do an interview to the board with those people. And over, we can still do that, or if you want to discuss and do a vote on her. I think there are 2 other potential applicants, but we don't have materials.
Okay.
We have room for 3 actually.
Only other one that we had an actual application for was John Leipold.
Right. Haven't heard back.
I think he's waiting to hear from us.
Needless to say, Susie's transition, there's some cracks. So I will reach out to him first thing tomorrow.
On the ballot, how are you gonna fill those out? I guess, how do we?
What to do?
First one would be who do you prefer for president and vice president? We'll see who gets the most votes.
Chair and vice chair.
Everybody, yeah.
Online votes, we can put Carrie as the board clerk's email in the chat. You probably have it anyway, but I'll put it in there and you can just send yours to her email.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't reach back out to John.
So yeah, that was Potawatomi County replacement. Yes, yeah. Blood.
Saw she had a pen. You don't want to prepare them fast.
For the other potential board applicants, like when I was thinking about Cheryl, which Cheryl's fantastic. I was also thinking about having more corporate representation on the board, so I'm just curious that other folks, like, what is their potential background? Because if we're adding one, I'd lean more towards a corporate presence versus.
Mr. Leipold is Pot County.
Pot County, he is, I don't want to describe. He's over logistics for the US Postal Service out of this region.
Okay.
That's his background, former military. And said over logistics for this area.
I think we need over from every people apply. The other foundation for this 5 counties. And then, one of the guys, actually did this with Hank. That same name as a, they was pro basketball there.
Tony.
Tony Parker.
Parker, yeah.
Tony, yeah.
I have to think of NBA before I think of Tony. But we have not received applications back from them, completed ones. What we could do is table that, get things in, send out information to all of you, see if we want to do a little small group for an interview so we could take action. Either by email or by September. Apologize.
By email or by September?
Or the September meeting.
Okay.
Abbreviated.
Yes. I think it would be good for a small group to speak with them. I really do. Yeah, I think it gives you a better sense, you know, one of the concern, I don't know that there would be any issues between what Cheryl's position is at Kansas State and this facility. I don't foresee any issues, but I don't know. Since it looks like she works directly for Dr. Linton.
I would just see it from a perspective of background.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think like with all the corporate partnerships that you're looking to build, it would be nice to have some corporate representation of those partnerships on the board.
Sure, understood.
I'll work with Jill. We forgot to introduce Jill Sherman. Sitting over there. She is not the new Susie. She is Jill Sherman. Not doing everything Susie did. She's doing other things and better. I'll work with her so we both. They get their apps in, get that shared and set up.
Okay.
Carrie, do a little calculating if we want to phone.
Sure. First up is contract extension for Landmark Bank.
Right, this is proposed for another 2 years. And Landmark, we've been with for a while. Those folks, let's say they're great, like. Getting this package put together for this building, a bit creative with our change with CFO, new CFO, all business staff. Really plan by this, we have wanted to do this very complicated. We automated this. Position. David, you know, banking, somebody, Emily's very talented, but she's never been in higher ed before. He looks at me every so often and goes, how does this work? We had the advantage of Kira and Carmela before her, they built the higher ed. Yes. So it's not interrupting banking for a while. will help smooth that transition as she and her staff gain experience. Two of our staff members you've added are actually one of the current students of ours. These are coming next month, but the other two, of the current student, really like growing that talent internally. Already seen a lot of improvement with looking at our processes, questioning the processes. We can get rid of some things that why do we always do it this way? We don't always change how we do it. So again, because of the excellent relationship with the bank and the services we get, as far as administration, we'd like to recommend extending the contract for a couple of years.
Yeah, I would just add that I think there's for quite a long time been a pretty good relationship between MATC and our bank, Landmark. And I think there's a good connection between our branch manager over on Anderson, and I think she works pretty closely with you all. And we have the additional resource that our resources that be contacted in our Treasury Services Division regarding ACH payments and wires and things like that. And obviously I'm a local resource as well, but I have to abstain from this vote. I hope you understand.
And we're getting a good return on the money we do have safely deposited with the bank, which is helping us overall budget as well. So Emily, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would just say the team at Landmark has been really helpful. Sophie's great, really easy to work with and really responsive to us. And then Dante has jumped in and helped with just exploring more improvement processes that we could have with consolidating all of our merchant services, our credit card processors, because we have a few too many. I would like to say with Landmark, they're great. The treasury management team is great on our ACHs and responsive. If we have errors or need to fix something real quick, they're great at doing it for us. So
I know Dave has to abstain from this, but I know several very well companies that have banks with board members as in it, so I don't see that as a conflict anytime. If anything, it's probably more advocacy than anything. Yeah, I would definitely support this.
It is an action item.
Okay, so I'd be looking for a motion to extend the contract for 2 years with Landmark National Bank.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
You.
Next, we do have recommendation on, yeah. Drum roll.
yeah, you want to drum roll? Okay, so Dave is chair with 4 votes. But we have a tie for vice between Stephanie and Leslie.
Got the arm wrestle.
They're not supposed to run off.
I mean. Put on the ballot.
Do another ballot, please.
Yep. Grabbing it, Chris. Okay.
That's fine. I was gonna give John. Hey, I was gonna make this a few times, but you know.
So we are just doing a ballot for vice chair.
Vice chair.
That enough?
Same thing for you. We were assured of no fraud voting. Got no hanging check.
Yes. Some things is yours too.
Cause there could be another ballot.
We just were commenting on John saving truth.
How are we getting the votes from those that are on Zoom?
They're emailing them to me.
I appreciate that Stephanie and Leslie did not go, oh, hell no.
Yes.
Wait.
We'll be doing that. There's no there.
Go ahead with the,
Recommending approval by the board, the exactly negotiated agreement for 26-27. Hopefully, a chance, there's no really significant major changes. The negotiations were very mutually cooperative. They went with some things we suggested, we went with things they suggested. Each year we're making a more cleaner contract. Of course, there are always concerns, you know, compensation, benefits, et cetera. We did provide a lot of details to them related to everybody's salaries. That health insurance went up about 15%, property insurance, that was. So on the compensation package, we really tied things to not just increase for them, but also the stipend if we hit certain credit hour enrollment targets, which we've done the last couple of years. Because we all know, and what I tell them, I'm not against paying anybody more. We have to have the revenue to do it with. Changes, you know, some turnover with some faculty positions. We've added some new people. Peter within HR has done a heck of a job. Carrie's done a great job from last spring forward, working with faculty. They are appreciating all of her workshops and guidance. We ask a lot of faculty in terms of using the technology we put in place that can help us monitor student performance faster, the data side. And they've responded pretty well. So again, our recommendation is approval of contract. If that's approved, then Emily and her crew can work on making the appropriate compensation adjustments for the next payroll. Gary, anything you want to add around the negotiating group?
Pretty much covered it. Pretty easy round.
Could you give us just kind of a summary of the highlighted changes as compared to the previous contract?
Yeah, I don't have it pulled up, but we can pull it. Carrie worked with them. We had some things related to making sure they do try to use the technology for our ability to use the data analytics. We have tools like Canvas. The faster and more accurate they are putting student performance in attendance, whatever it is, test grades, whatever, on the back end, we can run the analytics so we know where to intervene sooner. And to me, to me, that's the key. Is I've told them every % of retention increase we can make money in the bank. And we're already good at it. We're 9th best in the nation on retention. Enrollment and recruiting is great for attracting people, but it's keeping them. And especially in these days when it's easy for them to get a job when they get a few skills. So keeping that retention, attaching them to a local employer, getting them completed with credentials, that's where we get that added value that separates us from the rest of the pack. Compensation wise, we went at a 2% plus
2% COLA plus 1 step on the scale.
the equivalent of about a 3% increase. What we will also do with staff. Other changes.
Yeah, the faculty side, they essentially asked for a lead faculty position be input into faculty senate with a pretty low stipend amount. So we implemented that. So they will vote and have some lead faculty for each division. And then they wanted to update the tuition assistance policy that we have. So we updated that amount and updated the language in that particular policy. But that was all that came from their side. The rest of it was from our side, like Jim talked about.
On the tuition assistance, that's also made clear to them. It depends upon what we're able to budget. It's not an unlimited amount. It is capped, and that's also made open to all employees, staff, and both faculty. Then we worked with due process, clarifying some things. A lot of it was for them to understand, here's what the state statutes and regs say on the due process regs right now that we have to follow because we're under the K-12 rules on that. So yeah, it was a fairly, I don't want to say easy, but it was a constructive negotiations. They definitely would like more compensation. I'd love to give it to them. would say the increase in compensation we're discussing is probably middle of the road compared to the other two-year college.
So when you say lead instructor in a program, does that put more responsibility onto that person as well?
It's within a division, so, and it will be more than likely some of the veteran faculty that have been here a while to try to help ease and work through the adjustments of having a lot of new faculty. So they would be kind of their first line of defense of questions, like if they had questions on how do I do this in Canvas or Cengage or what their thoughts were. So they would just be having some meetings amongst themselves and delegating some of that.
So it's not just within a program, it's
Right,
within,
it's a whole division.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's 4 separate divisions.
questions from other board members on the contract. Entertain a motion to approve the contract negotiated that between our staff and faculty.
So moved.
It's been moved. Could I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Contract's approved.
And do you want vice?
Oh, yes.
Drum roll. Congratulations, Stephanie.
All right. Look forward to it.
No, let's.
Honored, but.
Well, thank you, folks, and we'll do something more for you next month. Yeah, we will. We have to have
No
it.
reason to.
We'll still hear me, right?
Promise.
I mean, we're checking that, cause that's good too.
So.
Alright, very
Starting next month, we'll have the gavel day. That's okay.
Okay,
Interim budget
Interim
update,
budget.
Emily.
Yeah, this is again, only posted through May, so we're, I worked really hard to try and bring one for you for June, but it just didn't work out. Proposed budget, nothing really changed on our income side. Josh, you need the other one. Yep, that one. This is just showing you what that change looks like in the salary benefits. For the contract we just approved, and then to do a 3% for our staff as well. There's no other big changes. That's not the right one. Yeah, that's the right one. There's no other big changes here. Some things to point out with our cash flow. We did have a couple things come in June that will go towards the program expenses. And then we're working on rolling over. We had a lot of our faculty that worked really hard this year to save some money in their programs in order to purchase larger pieces of equipment or larger bulk orders of supplies for this coming year. So once we get everything finished out for June, we will look at rolling that over into next year's budget for them so that they're able to purchase those items. Big things on where we're over on expenses, our facilities technology. The big thing there was we had the changes with Marta and Sons on our main campus. That took a lot more than we had budgeted for, just because that was a new contract as we expanded that. And then our professional development travel, that was on our admin team. This does have, unfortunately, we had to book AFIT in June, which fell on the last year's expenditure. So that's reflected in that 147% over the allotted budget of the PD. We also had a larger conference that I don't know that we budgeted as much for. We did increase this PD travel for this fiscal year. And we are monitoring that a little bit more as to who's using those specific PD lines to make sure that if there's Perkins allotments, we can use those. Any other questions?
When you first started, you said these numbers are only good though through May. So we're still missing a whole nother month.
Right, we're still missing June, yes.
So potentially we could be over budget. On. quite a
On,
few.
on more, yeah. I don't anticipate us being over budget on on more items. A lot of the big things are posted aside from, some contracts that came through, in June. That we had budgeted for, so.
Which is why I said we would delay the final budget till September, so you'll have the full picture, plus we'll have the full picture on enrollment. So we're still processing enrollment from the high schools. Past most of the drop, we'll be past all the dropping where they can get a refund. But we'll have a clearer picture both on the revenue and cleaning up from FY 26.
On the Patterson grant, is that just issue, did we get less? Is it a trail off on a grant or? Why are we 63%?
We did a draw in June that isn't reflected here.
Yeah, Chris has been working with a lot of the crew and some of the faculty when they got back on, you might see on our social media about tech packs. We're inviting teachers to get involved with what we're doing through the Patterson grant. That will enable them to get a tech pack to use at their school. So that's been a lot of the processing of some of the funds in the last.
Yeah, and then this is the final year of the Patterson grant, and this one has the larger cost, because this will be all the stipends for middle and high school teachers, stipends for our folks to deliver the training, the tech packs, and
The state fair.
the state fair.
We're gonna be there for a few days.
So this, I would imagine by December, most of that money will probably be gone, to be honest, because we just have to get everything down.
And building higher education fund, remind me what's going on there.
The Building Higher Education Fund were the donations we received for the ATC building. So on this budget that Josh has pulled up here, the 275,000 is what we have remaining from those donations.
Jim, can we talk a little bit about the email that you sent out about the Excel and CTE? With the changes that are taking place there with reduced enrollment or reduced tuition and what kind of impact that has on the college?
Sure, Dave. That's one of the reasons some of this was not ready when it was, because that was one of the issues last Friday that KBOR admitted and gave all the two-year colleges incorrect data. So the legislature last session made changes to that law that went into effect immediately, that they would no longer pay for freshmen and sophomores. They would also not pay anymore for a student repeating a class. Other things in there. Moving forward, they're capping the total appropriation on Excel and CTE. I would say a majority of that was probably promoted and led by the community colleges. And there are some of the USDs in the state, not really in our area, but some of the USDs were milking the system in that they were wanting the colleges to pay the school district, as well as the school district was already collecting state funds for the enrollment, kind of double dipping. So that led to the legislature to make a lot of these changes and to get the spending under control, because it's been one of the fastest growing appropriations overall in the state in the last 10 years. It's been so successful. So the data issue that we had to try to clean up quickly, right? And we're still cleaning up tomorrow. Every two-year colleges is throwing a fit with KBOR. Plus, with the change in leadership at KBOR, they lost about, half of their data staff, Kim? At least. So a lot of the people there do not have a clue. So we've had to go in and make sure that the freshmen and sophomores were not getting coded to get paid. At the same time, Chris taking the lead, working with all the USDs. I don't want to lose that enrollment, but we can't just give it away. A lot of back and forth, a lot of good discussions. He ended up with an agreement starting with 383, and it's extended to the other ones. We did a flat tuition per hour rate for those kids, $125 an hour, waiving fees. So that if they can hopefully pay that somehow, and we'll work on payment plans, we'll even extend the payment plan option if we have to, because they weren't expecting this. For the students who cannot pay, and for some of them, we'll even look at what could we do through our foundation scholarships, but that'll be limited. For the other students, we'll do an articulation agreement with the high school. So if those students come to us later, may even be if they take the Excel classes when they're a junior or senior, and they can show that they successfully passed the courses during the articulation, we'll give them the credit. So right now, everybody's working through all the data issues on that. We had roughly almost 200 sophomores and freshmen.
Just for Manhattan.
Yeah. It's really crunching. Wichita Tech, Hutchinson, PCK. I expect a lot of legislators are gonna be getting a lot of hate mail from a lot of two-year colleges pretty soon. But I get why the legislature did it. A lot of the schools were not properly screening the students. It was becoming babysitting for the kids who didn't want to take high school regular classes, instead of the students who really were supposed to get into tech ed. So we'll have a better idea in September of financial impact. We will have lessened it somewhat through the payment plans. There's also a chance. KBOR has said they will try to transfer those freshmen and sophomores on the formula system to the tiered funding that we get for reimbursement, like for welding, et cetera, for those classes. So we would get some revenue coming in via the tiered, the tiered funding for those students who no longer get bill paid by Excel and CTE through the state. Okay, confusing enough? So our total impact, I'm gonna guess probably close to 300 students with all of our schools. Down the road, we get better numbers on how the impact on this. My intention is to try to talk with Vern about, are there any other funding agencies through GMCF that we might look to for scholarships? Because not all these students are wasting their time. A lot of them are serious about taking tech classes. And if we could let them take them, especially by their sophomore year, we can get them graduated, not just by the high school, but by us by the time they're seniors. We did start this year again, Chris, leading this off with the high school flex pathway. You want to jump in on that?
Sure. So in the spring, sat down with the MHS team, kind of in response to this, but to help them out with some space issues as well. We launched a pilot called the Flex Tech Pathways. A lot of folks in this room have helped make that happen because it is a logistical nightmare at this moment. But the oversimplified version is we're able to welcome seniors from any of our partner schools, from the high schools to come over here and they join our program. So they did join HVAC, electrical, plumbing. They're on our campus from Monday through Thursday from 8 to 2. And it's part of Excel and CTE, so the state's paying for that tuition. The added benefit is with our foundation, we're going to request scholarships for those students to knock out. Typically, the seniors have about 2 general ed classes that they need to knock out for their high school graduation requirements in English 4 and a civics class. And we're taking care of that through our concurrent classes as well. The only cost to the student is the tools. And we have the payment plan set up through that. Again, our foundation, 383's foundation has really stepped into that as well. We're looking to really expand that in October, I think is when we'll.
For next fall.
For next fall.
The other advantage to that, for all those high school seniors come here to take those classes, we get all the Excel funding. We don't have to split any of them with the high school. So it's a very impactful revenue change.
And we're also in agreement, we're keeping track of attendance form through their count day and everything, so that way the school still receives their support funding for those students. And this is where Mr. Dorse and I will probably put together a presentation, sit down with Senator Starnes and our foundations and everything and just talk through, because we have a good path going. If students can start taking concurrent classes their sophomore year, if with good advising, there's no reason they can't graduate the week before they walk across the Manhattan High stage at Bramlage, that they don't have an associate's degree with us. 60 credits is absolutely possible. Certificates are more likely. And students are walking in, and you all know, I mean, $50,000-$60,000 jobs out of high school with no debt.
So, right now we have an impact of probably 300 people where we're not getting the state funds, but we're doing all we can to lessen that and see where else can we get the revenue. There will be some hit, but hopefully we can at least cut it in half or more. On the other hand, with starting electrician training, that was full. Your support program is probably half full.
Yes.
Yeah, so nursing's totally full. I mean, I think we only have maybe 3 programs that are not full,
Yeah.
several with wait lists. And if you come between 8 and 2, you will not find a parking place.
Today I was like,
Walking down.
we were out for like 5 minutes.
So,
I refused to get.
so we're doing a lot of things to try to alleviate not relying on public funding. That answered the question.
Thank you.
Again, Emily's given an update on the interim, and we'll have a clean one in September. This month has been more crazy in terms of impact from sources we didn't anticipate than any other. Questions? Doesn't need action. Want to, but. Okay.
Facilities.
Right, let's start with the elevator. So kind of, we talked about it at a couple meetings, but just to kind of recap that, the old one we had finally just up and died. We had the elevator company come out that originally installed it, and they
60 years ago.
yeah, they basically came to the conclusion everything's obsolete, it just needs replaced. They couldn't repair it. They thought there was an issue with the motor, but that it was a specific motor that was no longer made. Their quote just for a direct replacement with an elevator that's undersized and not really useful for us anyway was about $50K. We got one of the TDI engineers out, and he got us connected. He agreed that it was a motor issue, but it was a real niche specific motor. He got us connected with a company out in California that was willing to give a shot at repairing it. Sent it out there. It was out there for a couple weeks. They sent it back, found some issues. It was $500. We slapped it back in. We're back up and running. So we're at least back to where we were at to buy some time. Ideally, and we've also put a kind of preliminary just project quote just to give us an idea what it would cost to just take all that out, build out a ramp, and do it right with a ramp to get us down to that next level. And those estimated numbers around 130K, which is a lot, but I was actually expecting worse. If we ever decided to go that route, you know, we would actually we'd take that out for bid and try to plan it more over a summer, because that's going to be quite a construction mess up there in our commons area if we were to do that. So we still need to find a long-term solution, but we're at least back to satisfying kind of the requirement of having something usable up there.
The current elevator won't fit. Most newer wheelchairs will not fit in it. My daughter's, for instance. So we're really probably, hopefully, if there's not too many other strange things happen this academic year, come back to you later this fall, early spring with a plan on putting in the ramp by next summer.
Yeah, and I think what wore out, and you see that with a lot of elevators that don't get used much for ADA stuff, it's just our custodial over the years using it to go up and down that level over and over and over again. So it's just time to figure out a better solution for that. Concrete repairs, we had some real bad potholes showing up in several parts of our parking lot. We still have more to go, but we attacked kind of the first wave of those, just small cutouts and repairs in different areas. So that's smoothed up and done. As Jim mentioned, the parking is really tight. We're trying to take advantage of the street parking up here. We don't have our Seco overflow right now that we usually do over there with the construction they have going on. I'm hoping we get that back soon. Hopefully as the nurses start going to clinicals, that will help, but we're back to the point of figuring out what the next step is. If enrollment grows or a second cohort, I guess there's a chance the timing would maybe work if it was afternoon and morning, but we're at capacity for sure. So we've got some different ideas. The first most cost-effective solution would be to take the one way over there, widen that out and have angles on both sides. That'd get us about 25 spots, but we'll probably put together some plans and some costs over the next couple months just to show you guys with some ideas. That's it. So, question?
One of the issues, taking care of the one way is if the city would allow us to do more of an asphalt parking lot instead of a real permanent one. Just for cost effectiveness and in case we end up using that corner lot for something else down.
It's gotta be paved.
Sole source.
Yeah, so you'll see a sole source purchasing justification form for a telehandler. And where this is coming from is that obviously you know that we get Perkins funds this year, and part of those Perkins funds, they delegate what you can spend the money on. One of those delegations is equipment, but they limit the amount of the Perkins grant that you can spend on equipment, and our limit is the $44,510. So Perkins is covering that portion of it. And so John, the faculty member for construction tech, was the one that went out and got the quote, put the telehandler on his list on the application. Perkins approved it, which is why we are arriving back at the fully telehandler. And then we had already came up with the agreement with Josh that the difference, the $26,736 would be covered with capital outlay, so we could make the entire purchase of the telehandler, so.
Yeah, and on the sole source package too, what really pushes that, it's kind of hard, we want to use piece of equipment, low hours, good shape, some sort of maintenance and warranty on top of that. And to take something like that out to bid when we're trying to just deal on locally used market would be pretty difficult. So that's where the sole source justification comes from. We did some research. Most of the stuff I found out there was anywhere from 68 to 85K, but that had way more hours. This is a low hour unit with only 847. Plus they're doing the 36-month warranty on that, which is great. And then the 5-year support agreement they're going to throw in while we do the annual service visits. So I think it's a good fair deal and just a good used piece of equipment for us that's quite a bit of cost.
What do they use it for? For practice?
I think he a lot of doing like trust work.
Yeah.
If you guys don't buy it, I will. Nice. Low hours and more things you got on it.
You can borrow it.
Hey, now hold it. You're gonna sell it on.
We'll send it to you.
To you.
Work out that rental agreement.
Well, he donated.
I was gonna say, probably would have been helpful staying in that apartment.
Reduced rent.
So if you have it, let's say we get it, and 2 years down the road, we realize that we're not using it. I mean, is there a timeline that we have to hold on to this?
Sell it.
No, there is like a threshold of if it's over a certain dollar amount, I just have to fill out an extra piece of paperwork from Perkins to get their approval to sell it if we want to do that. But otherwise, there's really no threshold for saying that we couldn't sell it or anything, so.
The other thing it's gonna be great for just for campus usage is we have all this overhead storage above all the bays on the mezzanines over here. And with our current floor, once it maxes out the height, you gotta be this close to the wall and go up with it. So hopefully construction tech will let us borrow it.
Yeah, and that is part of the Perkins grant, is that while they are saying it's designated for construction tech, if they're not using it, it has to be available for use by the other programs and facilities on campus, so.
They basically are.
They essentially have to share it when they're not using it for themselves, so.
Just a couple words of caution on a piece of equipment like that. The tires are extremely expensive, so be careful of those. Once you get out of that 36-month period, you either gotta have somebody haul it over to Foley to do any maintenance on, or they've got to come do a mobile service, and those aren't cheap either. So they're expensive piece of equipment to own, but this one, I think you guys with that many hours on it should be fine for a while.
Maybe after that 3 to 4 year term too, it'll be worth discussing if it's time to, if it's really useful, trade it and re-up and get another warranty or something too. I bet we don't put a lot of hours on it.
Yeah, no.
We need board action, please.
Protocol.
Request a motion to accept the purchase of the piece of equipment from Foley Rental for 44,510 coming out of the Perkins grant and 26,736 coming out of our capital outlay.
So moved.
It's been moved. Could I get a second and seconded? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. And if worse comes to worse, you put the piece of plywood on the front of it and push snow with it. It's winter too. I've seen it done.
Probably a bucket attachment for that.
Very well could be.
So while a few of us were having fun in the sun in Albuquerque, actually, a few days before we went to the AFIT trip, I was presenting to Intergovernmental Council and Eric Reed come up to me afterwards and said, "You gonna be around next week?" I said, "No." "Is Chris here?" I said, "No, we're going to a conference." "Well, somebody from education's coming for a visit. I don't know who it is. I don't have details." I said, "Well, Carrie or Neil will be around." So Carrie drew the short straw and it turned out to be the US Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. But with that, I'll turn it over to Carrie.
So on August 5th, obviously the US Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, came for a visit to Manhattan as part of their Returning Education to the States tour. Apparently we were the 40th out of 50 stops. So, and it was supposed to be focusing on identifying and highlighting effective local educational practices and partnerships across the country. So, she came to town, we all essentially met at the high school and we gave her a tour of the high school, focusing particularly on CTE, and then had a panel discussion with her. It was represented on the panel was obviously people from Manhattan High School, myself, Linda, and a couple students that were involved in the CTE program there. And overall she gave us some kudos on our collaboration and partnership with MHS and how we are starting this MHK Pathways program and Flex Tech Pathways as well. So just being focused on what is best for the students and trying to give more workers out into the workforce. So I think overall it ended on a positive note. She seemed satisfied with what she heard and saw that day, so.
Mission accomplished without stirring up a lot of political hoo-ha, which did end up in a paper with both K-States having her visit and. But we got good recognition. And again, it ties us in with 383. So thank you, Carrie. It was quite fun talking to her and texting with her afterwards because she had no idea this was what she was getting into. Chris and I both said, well, we're happy to leave town anytime.
No, Mary texted us like midday, and was like, well, Linda McMahon gave some kudos, and we were just thinking, oh, it just was on like a letterhead or something, and then we realized she was here. We're like, oh, okay.
We'll save a little bit of time. We'll give you more in-service updates in September. We'll turn it over to these folks quick. Other than to say it, from what I heard, it was one of the best in-services we've had in terms of teacher prep, updates. Staff had time to do things. So whatever else we got to add, folks.
Yeah, that was really all I was going to say, was that we had a lot of positive feedback from the faculty of, they felt like having a little extra time during in-service, and some of the sessions were really helpful and important. One of the sessions was focusing on like a show and tell. So the veteran faculty got up there and kind of showed how they teach class and how they set up their Canvas shells and Cengage. And I think it was very helpful for veterans and new faculty alike, so.
Cool. I did. A welcome week, Laura.
Well, we had welcome week. Students came back last week, you guys.
lots of them needed directions at ungodly times of the morning, and we got them to class, and it was amazing. And we had lots of fun snacks to eat over the course of the week. Neil grilled more hot dogs than and hamburgers than I really want to see in any given day. And people had a good old time out on the patio. No karaoke this year. It was kind of sad. Last year we had some EP students who really liked to sing. It felt like we did everything we could to try to make people feel welcome and find their way around, and hopefully they felt that way.
It was good, and in the middle of all that, you have to realize all these folks and their folks are putting out fires left and right.
Fire.
Well, after the first couple days, the fires weren't near as bad.
And we were on AY, remember?
Yes, and
It was a
then
different kind of fire.
Kim, Laura and others, Emily, the data stuff. You turned it in. I was trying to remember that email. What was it, 11 something Friday night?
Yes.
Yeah, due by midnight. We beat it.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Even if it turned in earlier, I was just fixing things.
Oh,
Julie just sent a message, 9 pounds, 1 ounce, 21 inches, baby girl beef.
Oh.
Congratulations.
that's good. Teacher student, future nursing
Already
student.
back on the board.
That's dedication. Policies.
Yeah, so.
So obviously, as you can see, these are all nursing policies. So this was prompted very much by Evelyn. Thank her for all of the hard work. And so I gave you the previous policy as well as the revised version. But again, they were focused on a lot of just updating terminology and making sure they're accurate to what we are currently doing. And where she is under the making sure everything was in compliance with nursing accreditation. So if you want to explain to them the specifics of what changed,
There really wasn't a whole lot of changes. Mostly like she said, language and cleaning them up a little bit is what happened. For the most part.
No change of direction in any place.
They don't need board action unless you choose to do so with the action. Ryan Gold, Mr. Chris.
Sure. So Rheingold, again, is a marketing firm that we've engaged with to start the process of researching. Is our brand appropriate for us, all those things. If you have questions. That, the big news on that is we have moved forward a lot with the polling and they put together focus groups. They will actually be in person next week, Monday through Wednesday. They have focus groups set up for students, and there's already a community partner session that is set up as well. I think you all may have received an email about what polls are thinking, some things, maybe not. I'm gonna double check and make sure I have Stephanie's email, right?
No.
They've asked if they could meet with you all, and I know we have to play the game of can't have quorum. So if we, I don't know the best way to do this, but a time slot would be like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock on Monday, or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock on Tuesday next week, if anybody happens to be available. It can be small groups, 3 or 4 folks. If you want, I can put that in an email and you can just send that to me and let me know. I do just need to let them know by the end of this week so they can just do the finalizing and all that.
We connect by you too.
Yeah, we can set it up through Zoom. Well. But
We'll double check to make sure you're getting the material.
yes.
AFIT, again, we attended, a lot of us in Albuquerque, see some of the table decorations. We actually, Chris brought the lunar lander in pieces. That's baggies, and we put it together while we were sitting through the sessions. We did similar stuff the year before. We really found it helps us work together, listen and focus on some things. And line stuff and everything, and we have the space ducks. And then Chris and Andrew found my scepter somewhere with the alien, which came in handy.
And it went through security. So there's.
No sword inside.
The first night there, we did take part in group entertainment. We went to the minor league ball game of the Albuquerque Isotopes AAA Rockies team. And sent some people to get some food. I said, I want a couple of ballpark hot dogs. Chris goes back with hot dogs and also this thing called the Orbit Dog in a tray. So it's 2 hot dogs on buns in a tray covered in pork, red chili,
Red chili.
with mac and cheese on top of that and then bacon on top of it. However, if you do get to Albuquerque for any reason, find time to go to a restaurant called El Pinto. Oh my God. Yeah, I'd take care of foods. The conference was great. More in-depth on it in September. 2 groups with Forward Edge projects. Anybody want to give any quick comments? We'll do more next month.
Yeah, I mean, so I was on the core team with Emily, Laura, Pam. And we were kind of focusing on, which I think this group will be interested in, is so Kim Withroder and her small team back there do a ton of great work with all of our data, but now it's how do we put that data into a dashboard format for different audiences, whether that's board members, internal program staff, etc. So our team worked quite a bit on that. There's a lot of eye-opening things I think that we learned. There's a ton of work to do, but I think our goal pretty collected on where we want to head with that. So now, and we knew this would happen now that we're back here, putting out the day-to-day fires, it's just working with the team to stay focused on that goal to kind of keep developing that.
The other group, Edge, you know, the transformational crazy stuff that I've been dreaming about. Guess what? We found the model while we were there, so.
Yep. So Central New Mexico Community College is phenomenal. They have this massive everything, academics, lots of programs, lots of cool buildings, lots of support from the state, which is fantastic. But they actually have an enterprise wing that they call Ingenuity. So CNM Ingenuity. We made a connection with their executive director and some other folks and did a whole tour. They're doing pretty much exactly what Jim has been listening with for the last several years. It's boot camp, non-credit. It has all these pieces to it where we can take somebody who maybe is working at a coffee shop but wants to get into tech. We put them through an 8 specific subject. CNM specializes right now in quantum computing, various different microprocessors and industrial maintenance, automation pieces. But to take that model and put it here with maybe construction. So instead of our entire construction program, we work with companies maybe in our area, or maybe even in the Kansas City market and say, what are the gaps that you all are looking for? Great, we can do that in a 2-week training, either in Kansas City or here on our campus, where you just come out here, it's an X amount of dollars. They get our certificate of completion, they get the skill that's verified, and they're out in the workforce ready to go. Because as we've all learned, I think our biggest example is Russ Briggs probably does not care too much about college credit right now, but if the student walks in with all their ASCs and is on track to be a master tech, that person is going to get hired. And that's where a lot of our focus is going to be. They have set Ingenuity is set up as a separate 501c3 that is under the Central New Mexico Community College in a way, but it's actually also completely separate. It has its own board. It has its own lot of things and a lot of autonomy. So we're actually going to meet with that group again next Monday just to ask some more questions, talk about maybe some pitfalls and things that they learned, and then see if they already have a framework that they can share with us. And we just want to see where the low-hanging fruit is, which program we want to start with, and then go from there.
And we've made Rheingold aware of some of this because this will factor into their whole rebrand marketing, but it's, John, you'll remember back in the heyday, 50s, 60s, 70s, you had the R&D at the colleges.
Right.
Of Ingenuity, and what I've been dreaming about is R&D, if you will, but on workforce. That cuts through all the other academic red tape and let's get you the skills. So,
but the biggest thing is with that separate 501c3, if they had an entity that was like K-Board came in and said, well, show us all your enrollment numbers and all this data and stuff that they want to see, they can literally tell that organization to kick rocks and they just go about on their things. So, they have it.
Why you phrase it?
I think we don't use that language, but yeah.
Cleaned it up.
That's the implication.
Well,
I
knowing John, and halfway across the country in Albuquerque, I got to think of you because they showed us one area that was completely blacked out with all their windows, and it's a DOD contract with somebody who's putting together little satellites and they're launching them out into space. And even something like that with Fort Riley, with their new innovations lab of some kind, where we're talking about 3D printing and all these other things. That's not a program that we can restart because it doesn't fall under the cable, blah, blah, blah. Great, if I can put together a 3D drafting program that is in a 10-week thing and I have it out here at Fort Riley, fantastic. We have a contract, we're helping soldiers, we're helping families. It's a great application.
The separate 501(c)(3) just allows a little bit more pivot than having to a little bit more pivot and a little bit easier adjustment than having to go through all the regulations that we have with KBOR and with all of our grants and funding. So
And I can see where it'd be. The only way it could work is have a separate board because we're so tied to KBOR and the college.
yes.
But it's a mirror and a parallel track because it still serves the mission of the college. But it's having, and this is where I think, going back to your comment, having more of those corporate or more of those private sector pieces, less of the community. That's where the college obviously is serving. We still have a connection to it, but now we're really getting into the skunk works. We're getting into all these different fun areas that really help.
And it doesn't have to be all programs, it's the skills and training that makes sense and has a market with value for revenue.
Will you ever have to get into classified where you're gonna have to get some people cleared?
There, David and I have been digging into a few of those things and talking with Mr. Hart. There's a potential I could see depending on the track. When we were working with Signal University, I was afraid of some of those things, but we would be open to it and going through all that.
Takes a while.
It does.
I will say as someone like new to education, but tech ed in general, seeing the quantum learning lab was really cool. And then hearing Chris's excitement and David's excitement after they went again, it was cool. And it's something that if they can figure out how to make it work, I really see it being a huge impact. So
Is it all technical correct? And is there a possibility that we do something in the healthcare arena?
Right, it would open us up so we could possibly look into like respiratory tech, those very specific trainings. That wouldn't necessarily require all the college credit. This is where I would have to lean on Eastland because Kansas is a different beast in terms of what is allowable in licensure. But yeah, it would give us those like quick turnarounds of this, Wamigo is short on IV tech or whatever these pieces are. Great, let's offer this training. They have 6 people training. We've now. He's like, he just made all that up.
So stay tuned, it's a lot of work to do, but like I said, we found the model. And as we left Albuquerque, we stopped at the airport for breakfast and had Spam tacos.
Highlighted.
oh, some of us did not. Yeah, no. On that one.
You missed out.
Shucks.
No, thank you.
It's good.
It was too early before caffeine to have Spam.
Next year, the Summer Institute will be in Philadelphia. One of the tours that Pam and I will get earlier is through the president liaison thing in February, but the group will have as well as work Delaware Community College and their shipbuilding programs. So it will be the last week of July. Which doesn't interfere with in-service, and the Phillies have some home games. I understand there's something called Philly cheesesteak.
About 5,000 degrees.
Okay, Josh Briggs.
Damn.
Great. So I don't know why I asked Carrie to call it that, because that's a small piece of the whole thing, but they are part of it. So Andrew, who works on my team, and Levi from BHS have kind of been working on this together, so they deserve all the credit. But they basically have been kind of working on a fundraising package for a more suitable truck to pull our VR trailer. The one that we're doing it now with, we're getting by, but it's a struggle. It's got a heavy tongue weight, huge wind dam that it pulls really hard, and it just struggles to get it down the road, especially if we need to get to some of these further places like going to Hutch for the state fair. Well, we won't this year, but some of the longer trips we go on it with. Anyways, they basically been working with local businesses to try to put together a sponsorship fundraising with each of those, to where then when we acquire the truck, we can get it wrapped, put their details on it, put their sponsorship on it from each of those businesses that contributed. They kind of took it to them like with for this amount you can pay for the fender, that's where your name will be, or this quarter panel is. And all in all, they've got that up to $37,000
For door handles.
So where Briggs has gotten involved is they're also working with us on the donation side. They want to be involved and commit as well. And then they're helping us fund the vehicle. We're looking for a used one, but hopefully a 1 ton, probably a diesel, something easier to ton. We tried, we brought one out here that it didn't end up being the right one for us. We're getting close to finding it. And then we're still on the fundraising initiative side of that too. So once that's done, we'll get the truck, get it paid for, with those donated funds, and then get it wrapped with.
My report, I'm gonna stress a few things. One, Wallet Hub. Number 2, nation. So the last 5 years we've been number 4, number 2, number 1, number 2, and number 2. In my report, there's an analysis Chris did with Lexity. I send you another one that Pam's done, and then I got a kick. Wichita Eagle ran a story on it today. It was a pretty good story, and I'm sure Wichita Tech loved having our name splashed on it. And again, it's a good testament to our performance, because we rank in the 400s for cost. I mean, we're close to the bottom of the pile when it comes to the cost. It's our student learning outcomes and earnings that rock the boat. Next month, we will have a representative by Zoom or Teams from McAllister and Quinn to do a presentation. We'll have probably a joint meeting, part of that meeting with the foundation trustees, because I'd like you to consider a potential contract with McAllister and Quinn on resource development, both public and private stuff. Quick AFIT, some of the stuff Intergovernmental Council went well. Go on down, Josh. Yeah, keep going. There you see Chris's thing. Share it, read it, crash it away. It's good. Consistent. We're still gonna knock off State Tech again, hopefully next year. Keep going. Carrie with Secretary McMahon, we talked about the KACC went to their president's retreat right before I went to AFIT. They will have another retreat in December out at Colby. Their retreats are set up to have their president and a board chair or board member, in case we have board members that want to go. They go since they're elected, of course. Also, I'll give you more info on that. The meeting was pretty good. We discussed outcomes funding, pretty good consensus on a pilot to try to share with the legislature. Of course, Johnson County and Wichita Tech are kind of fighting, but Flint Hills Tech was accepted to join KACC at that retreat. PEA has to get updated on how we plan to use and the results we get of our base or tech operating plan, which is all about this building. I'll present to them on Friday. No issues there. However, KBOR retreat, which was right before AFIT, as Morgan informed me, the regents did not allow any time for any of the 2-year colleges to actually give a presentation or discuss budget. So in the current KBOR budget request for the next legislative session, there is no funding request for our tech operating grants for a lot of the 2-year college money. Don't get too excited. That budget's pretty much dead on arrival. Heather has met with Ty Masterson and had me plugged in. Yeah, they're talking, there's going to be budget cuts. There's also talk about the outcomes funding is something to try. There's also some discussion that a lot of legislators realize it's time to get the 2-year colleges out from under KBOR. And I'm working on that kind of behind the scenes. Keep going, sir. So the Federal Department of Education has final comments requested on proposed changes to accreditation agencies. Doesn't matter what the comments are, they're gonna make the changes. I gave you a little heads up on that, I think in June. Overall, changes benefit us, frankly. There's some things we'll have to do. Senior colleges and universities are gonna be scared to death. Because a lot of the changes are related to outcomes. What's the economic impact of your students learning what they can earn? There's also gonna have to be justification for what does that grade really mean? There's some actual language related to faculty evaluations. So we'll be monitoring that. Higher Learning Commission's moving their annual conference for the first time in forever. It will not be in Chicago in the spring. It'll be in Phoenix. Depending on our budget, we'll take probably a small team this year, but the following years we'll probably take bigger teams. Once these rules are formally adopted by the government, then the accreditation agencies have to work on figuring out exactly the steps we have to use to give them the data they're gonna need to look at. So that's probably our next big thing. We did increase our pledge to grow MHK with the chamber up to 2,500 a year from 1,000. The chamber does a lot of good things for us. We try to help them. In your packet in my president's report, you'll see a letter from Secretary McMahon. She sent to all senior colleges and universities asking them to post a response on their websites, what the administration is expecting. We have a proposed response packet as well. It's not finalized. Frankly, with everything going on at the federal level, we're trying to stay in the good graces. Earlier today, it was announced that Department of Education and NSF have agreed to go by the OMB rules on grants, which allows the Secretary of Education to yank a federal grant at any time for any reason. It's really aimed at the universities and at research. That's also why the McAllister and Quinn partnership may matter a lot more than we think. Keep on going. That was slides I shared with faculty and staff at in-service. Keep going. You heard most of that earlier in June. Some stuff from the community colleges. They're including us in their reports and things like that. Keep on going. The community college presidents, we meet together by Zoom every Friday at 11. Keep on strolling. There's the FY 27 supplemental and 28 budget requests from the community colleges. Our base grant is back in that. This is probably something that we'll be asking you as you talk to area legislators to really push. Again, right now it's all depends on the election and who gets leadership. And right now I wouldn't bet a whole lot of money on any election because people are PO'd. Moving on. You're getting the condensed version. Keep going, keep going. This was kind of cool from Strata Education, shows the number of higher ed graduates staying in states. Kansas, not in the best shape. We blow that up because we're at 92%. And if you would actually look at just two-year level, which they didn't include in this, two-year colleges retain people in the states a lot more than universities do. Doesn't say anything other than has a lot of state legislative value. Okay, next. There's the chamber stuff. Keep going. Keep going. All that fun stuff I just added in case you don't get their stuff. Again, they have us involved. John and I were at the policy meeting a few days ago on
Workforce or something.
yeah, tourism.
Been to them and stuff.
And Peterson, who used to be the lobbyist for K-State, is now part-time lobbyist with the community colleges. So she took my notes because I couldn't be at the meeting last week on policy.
Good job.
Yeah. Well, that's another plus is Sue knows us real well and she knows Manhattan in this area real well. Keep on going. A lot of stuff. It matters, but we're going to be doing now this one. Yeah, I know. So strategic planning, or as I call it, strategic directions. So this, as you'll remember from a few months back, this is a summary. It's a brief. The process we proposed that you kind of said, yeah, let's give this a try. I'm presenting this. Josh and Chris will set up meetings with Stephanie and John to go through this. This is kind of my crystal ball of where I'm seeing issues. It's not in any priority, even though it's numbered. Scroll down just a bit to that 6 strategic directions at a glance. Because one of the things we've talked about in senior admin a lot, and I've mentioned it to all our employees, it's our, where are we at on capacity and capability? That's what matters first. We are very thin. Kim, how many people in the data department right now?
One of them's also kind of the registrar.
Right. So like if this data thing hit, I mean, they're already pulling hair and she's, telling Laura, I need help, and Emily, I need help on AY, and then keyboard missed, they screwed up data, and here comes the corrected data. That strains us. Okay. So one of the first things as far as strategic directions is how do we keep supporting, improving, whether it's the individual, the unit, or the college as a whole on capability and capacity. Data informed learning and student outcomes. And again, Neil and Kim heard me forever on this. We have tons of data. How do we get it better organized and able to use and analyze and act on it? And luckily, one of the new people we hired to work with Kim and as registrar has some pretty good experience with dashboards and things. So guess what? He's going to be busy soon. Employer, community, public sector engagement, resource sustainability and accountability, life and health sciences, workforce expansion. If you're looking at program area, as we've discussed, that's probably the next big area is what can be life and health sciences. And then number 6, workforce innovation learning labs. That's not a permanent title. I just plug that in. That's what Chris is talking about with ingenuity. So this, again, this is a summary. It doesn't go into a ton of detail, but it's designed so that the 2 VPs working with John and Stephanie can kind of mush it about, give us some feedback, give me some feedback, and we keep going. These directions help us working with McAllister and Quinn and with Rheingold in setting future directions and keeping our pivot power, because that's really our secret sauce. So take time with this. It's not done being edited. It's a draft. And I used a lot of Gemini with it, but it really is capturing what's inside my head. We pause there to see if any comments, questions.
Look forward to meetings and doing it.
Yeah. On we go. This will be more discussions in the next few months. And thanks, Dave. Almost no executive session. Upcoming events, September 15th, ribbon cutting on the apartment in the electrician bay, thanks to Schultz Construction and Speed Lumber. September board meeting is on the 22nd. We have a lot of people going the following week to conferences. The evening of the 23rd, we're having the all advisory meeting here and dinner. If you can attend, that'd be great. October meeting on the 27th in Wamego. And then we're planning the November, December combined meeting for December 8th because of holidays and everything else. Anything else? And I apologize for some hiccups and bumps with everything this month, but it's been just a little wacky and crazy with a few lovely keyboard mess ups. We're good at doing our own mess ups. I don't need their help.
Okay, anything else for the good of the group? Then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved, seconded. Second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. See you next month.
They're out.
I hear there's a little change with economic development over at